Okay, so for this topic, I want to stay on the gaming section just for a moment and just bring attention to recent demonstrations with SEGA. They've been partnering with IGN.com, demonstrating like some gameplay footage of what's expected, what's to come later this year for their new Sonic game, Sonic Frontiers, on the web series called IGN First. Um, and like I'll talk about just my thoughts and opinions on it, but it's a good thing. Like there is some hype surrounding this game, considering how it's supposedly the first time there's a Sonic the Hedgehog game that's sort of in the open world genre. Even though Sega themselves are categorizing it as an open zone, but it's meant to be just a little, somewhat different, somewhat familiar in some ways. But it's a good thing that this time there's a little bit more freedom and space for the character just to run around as fast as we want with the character, like kind of like the Flash, and it's a good move, because like so many popular names, gaming franchise IPs throughout the name have been linear in different genres, like Final Fantasy, Metal Gear, The Legend of Zelda, Halo, Dragon Quest, The Elder Scrolls, Fallout, and many more have eventually gone to the open world route. It's definitely worked in their favor. Those games and that sort of freedom of genre, sandbox genre, have been critically, commercially acclaimed, and it's worked for them. So this is definitely a good step and very smart direction for Sega to take Sonic. And I think it'll be better for it. I like the freedom given. It's the gameplay when it comes to the unlimited speed. Just having the control of it sort of reminds me of Saints Row the Fourth. So I like that, and just watching the video, I liked how like I wouldn't say it's like Green Hill Zone or whatever it is, like the popular one of those popular first opening stages, but it kind of gives you the way to go around combating enemy robots in different ways, whether it's circling around them or hitting them, combat moves and new moves and all that good stuff. Also running up to giant towers, sort of like Shadow Colossus or whatever it is. And now, of course, there's the rings, but there's also like bumpers, uh, slide rails, also different racing challenges, and it's cool that there's going to be different puzzles. So it's still in the spirit of the platforming sort of thing, but maybe a little bit of RPG. It was said that there's going to be skill tree for this, so I guess that's fine. It remains to be seen how having a skill tree for a character like Sonic would work. But I think the quotes that I've got from Takashi Lizuka, he's creative officer at Sonic Team, just quotes I got saying, past game in the Sonic series have taken different tones depending on their story and themes. This time, these mysterious islands are the game's major setting. That's why our artists have worked hard to create a mysterious mood. So basically, like the overall setting, location, it's supposed to be like, I don't know, like this island that's there's not much known about it. It's just like a mysterious mood. You're I don't know, just whatever it is. I guess that sounds interesting. But in terms of differentiating from open world, like uh, Lizuka said, like open world games like Zelda or other AAA games have RPG or adventure worlds. So yeah, that is true for the most part. I mean, like a lot of open world games use RPG elements for customization, skills building, exploration, inventory, and that's all good and fine. It works well. I guess that's really fine by me. So, kind of giving the idea of what this is like for Sonic, the core here is a 3D action game. Our basic idea was to have that take place in an open space area. What sets Sonic Frontiers apart is this different approach to an open world game. So, that's pretty cool. It seems like it'll work well. And again, I like how there are different ways of combating enemies, circling them around, dodging attacks, different puzzles, of course, the collecting rings, uh, collecting heart shaped lives or special items, just exploring. But as demonstrated in the video, like if there is one concerning problem, I would say, is as going through, like all this pop in keeps coming up. And this is a concern. Like again, it's like an early build, but definitely from now until whenever the release date is, because there's no release date at the moment. Like that'll be fixed. So any sort of technical issues regarding pop in, or hopefully there are no frame rate problems, I think that'll be fixed and solved, cleaned up. If it needs to be delayed, fine. But I just think it's monumental that a popular character like this, that's been linear in its own way for so long, kind of having more sandbox freedom, if you want to say like that. I know, like, technically, kind of like the sandbox sort of genre, of course, in open world, however you want to call it, it's all fine. But this is a good creative move, once more. But I mean, hopefully, any sort of gameplay additions that we've not seen, it'll be known. Are there any more characters like the popular classic characters like Tails and Knuckles, especially as we've seen them in the Sonic 2 movie? It's not really known. There's no information. It just looks empty. I mean, when it came to one of the initial video clips, like a lot of people on YouTube reacted, that became like a lot of people were really concerned about it, saying that this looks bad, this might not work. It's just initial concerns. It just needs time for patience, you know? So I don't blame them for having fears, any concern of how the final product may end up being, and I get it. But again, early builds, I mean, don't take it as it is. But I like to know and see any more characters, you know. So I'm expecting Robotnik also to be an antagonist, or whoever. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, at least it's a good example of what's to come.